Does technology make you want to rip your hair out of your head or bang your head against your desk? If so, then this episode of the Stamping is My Business podcast is just for you. I'm John Sanpetro, and on this episode of the Stamping is My Business podcast, we're going to answer the question, how necessary is technology? It's a question I get often. People are like, oh man, do I really need this? I mean, is this really necessary in order for my stamping business to be successful? And the answer is absolutely. It really is. Technology in this day and age is very necessary, and there are a number of reasons for that. First of all, believe it or not, technology actually makes running your business easier. It makes your business much more effective. Believe it or not, for those of you who struggle with technology, technology allows you to reach more people in less time. Your blog, your mailing list. I mean, think about podcasts like this. If you were starting out when I was starting out working with stamping business owners 20 years ago, none of this stuff really existed. We had websites, but they were barely functioning websites. We had email, we sort of had mailing lists, but they were barely functioning. A lot of people, when I first started working with stamping business owners, didn't have a website. They were still sending out paper newsletters. Imagine that. Imagine, going into like Microsoft Publisher and composing and laying out your newsletter and then printing it out, taking it to Kinko's. Remember Kinko's? Taking it to Kinko's and running off, 40, 50, 60 copies of it, and then mailing it out to those 40, 50, 60 people who were on your local mailing list. I mean, that was, for many people, the extent of their business. Fast forward to today, where the digital mailing list, the online mailing list, now allows stamping business owners to put a newsletter together or an email together much faster, and then send that email with the click of a button to not just a couple of dozen people, but in many cases, several thousand people. That is so much more effective and so much less expensive. Putting those newsletters together was expensive. Having a website back then was expensive. So technology really does make things a lot easier. It makes things much more possible, really much more doable than ever before. It allows you to reach many more people in less time. And this is a people game. This is a numbers game. The more people you can reach, the better off you're going to be. If your offers are the same across the board, putting that offer in front of several thousand people is going to yield you a lot more results than putting that offer in front of, a couple of dozen people. So it allows you to actually make a living wage without having to work 60, 70 hours a week, which is what a lot of stamping business owners were doing 20 years ago. And even if you're just building a local business, because I always hear this, well, I'm just building a local business, I'm not really looking for customers across the country or around the world. That's fine. You don't have to be. Even if you're just building a local business, you still need technology, because local people interact with businesses in their community through technology now. It's not. It really doesn't matter. The geography really doesn't matter. Think about it. You probably belong to some local Facebook group. Maybe you belong to your local community on Nextdoor.com. You probably follow some local businesses on Instagram. Well, guess what? So do a lot of other people. And people in your community are looking to follow you on those platforms the same way. This is how it gets done now. So, look, there's no question that technology is necessary. There's no question that it makes your business easier. But here's the big thing. Technology, the online space, this is where your customers are, okay? And the biggest rule of any business is that it's about your customers. The minute you forget that your business is about your customers, that is the minute you crash and burn. You have to take their lead, okay? You have to go where your customers are. You cannot expect them to just keep coming to you. And this is a mistake that I have seen many stamping companies make and many individual stamping business owners make. Because they didn't like technology, they decided that they weren't going to embrace technology. And they assumed that their customers would just stick with them. And even though they weren't online, and even though those customers might have preferred to do their shopping or their interaction online, they were going to make an exception for this particular stamping business, or they were going to make an exception for this particular stamping company. And there's a little bit of arrogance in that when you think about it, because truly that just doesn't happen. If you don't make it easy for your customers to buy from you, then very few customers are going to buy from you. If you're not doing business the way your customers want to do business, then those customers are going to find someone who makes it easier for them, who does business the way they want them to. And I have seen many well-known stamping business owners fall by the wayside over the last 10 years or so because they refused to embrace technology, because they refused to evolve with the times. A lot of stamping companies have lost a great deal of market share that they've never recovered, because they refuse to evolve and move forward with the times. It is one of the biggest mistakes any business in any industry can make. And, you could take any business class in your first year of business school, and you will see case study after case study of businesses that have failed because they've followed this path, and this path just leads you over a cliff. Your business is about your customers. And so if your customers are online, you need to be online. If your customers are spending money online or utilizing some form of technology to decide where they're going to spend their money, you need to be there. It's that simple. Now, it's not really that simple, right? Because even though you may agree with me, or you may reluctantly say maybe I'm right, you still don't really embrace technology. You still are unsure of where to start. So what do? Learn it. And don't worry about learning everything overnight. The biggest problem I see with stamping business owners is that they really try to learn everything as quickly as possible. Don't do that, okay? Technology is sort of linear. And there's a linear progression to how you learn and what you need to do. So give yourself some time. Be consistent with your efforts. Learn a little bit every day, every week. Add to your technology toolbox, so to speak. Okay? But don't worry about learning everything this week. It's not going to happen, and you're just going to frustrate yourself. Okay? Pace yourself. Learn slowly. If you give yourself a solid 6 months to a year to learn, then you'll get pretty much everything you need to know under your belt. I would start, as a stamping business owner, I would start with my blog and my mailing list. And that's one of the reasons why I do the Bloggers Bootcamp at the beginning of every year, and then I follow that up with the List Building and Email Marketing Bootcamp. And that's also why I let stamping business owners register for those boot camps and have access to the recordings of those boot camps and tutorials all year round. So if you're someone who's just starting out with technology and you don't have your blogging down, you don't have your blog set up, you don't know how to blog and how to market your blog, and also really important, you don't have your mailing list set up and you don't understand how to build your list and do email marketing, then I would start with those two boot camps. And if you want to get into those two boot camps, if you want access to that content, just send me an email at john@stampingismybusiness.com. Let me know that you want in on those boot camps, and I'll send you the information on how to get in. And that's where you start. And then from there, you just continue to progress. Technology can be frustrating. It even frustrates me. And I've been, immersed in tech for many, many years. And even though I'm very comfortable with it, there are times when technology frustrates me. So believe me, I absolutely get it. But I also understand that once you accept the fact that technology has to become part of your business and part of your life, you can and you will make that happen. If you enjoyed this episode of the Stamping is My Business podcast, please feel free to like it, share it, subscribe to it, and listen to more. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, our website, stampingismybusiness.com, and on our Facebook page, facebook.com/stampingismybusiness. If you have questions or ideas for future episodes, please email them to me at john@stampingismybusiness.com. This is John San Pietro, and I'm just trying to get you paid.